have a new songwriting team, Eric Price and Will Reynolds, who are doing a brand new musical about Madame Curie. I'm really excited to hear about them and to learn their background and to learn more about the show. Eric, tell us your background and how you started with the concept of the show.
Well, Will and I have been writing musicals together for a number of years, and we were both instantly attracted to the idea that Marie Curie had a lot to do with the journey of an artist that we were really familiar with, because an artist has to pursue something with relentlessness. They can't give up. Other people might not understand what they're after, but they understand what they're after. Will and I understood that intrinsically because of our journey as artists. Marie Curie understood that because of her journey as a scientist. Scientific discovery and artistic discovery for us were very much the same. And when you add to it the component of collaboration, which was necessary to bring about the discovery of radium, Marie Curie collaborated with her husband, Pierre Curie, and it was the combined skill sets that they brought to their project that allowed for radium to be discovered. That's exactly what happens when you make a musical. When Will and I bring our combined skill sets to our project, then we can create something collectively.
And what other shows have you done?
We're working on a project called The Violet Hour, which is based on the play by Richard Greenberg. And we've spent the entire pandemic creating a concept recording, a studio cast recording of the entire score that's designed to be released before the world premiere production. It's fully orchestrated and it has a fabulous cast that includes Santino Fontana and Jeremy Jordan, Erica Henningsen, Saleha Pfeiffer, and Brandon Uranowitz. The orchestration is created by Charlie Rosen, who won the Tony for Moulin Rouge last year and is a Tony nominee this year for A Strange Loop. We're really excited to bring that recording out into the world.
So you're kind of doing what Jekyll and Hyde did years ago.
Back in the day, yeah, Alley Theater.
Yeah. No, it was the first. Was it the first? No, I think Superstar was the first.
Yeah, there's certainly a legacy for sure of this sort of concept album preceding the show. So we're happy to be somewhere on that continuum for sure.
Now, Will, what's your background, and tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. I am the composer of our duo. I'm also a performer. I went to Carnegie Mellon, and I was there at the same time as Megan Hilty and Josh Gad and Rory O'Malley and Leslie Odom and Griffin Matthews. And so it was a really amazing time to be a part of that program. And I bring it up only because that's also where I really began my songwriting and composing journey. And I was surrounded by so many incredible performers, and I was starting to noodle on my own stuff. And I gave myself this assignment to write a song for as many people as I could in this program and really write for their strengths and what I think is their sort of superpower as a performer. And so before I knew it, after a couple of years of that, I had an entire kind of concert of music. Then I started, well, now I have a concert, I have to write an opening number. So I had to learn about, well, how do you do that? You know, and well, now I have an opening number, I'll have to write a closing number. How do you do that? Well, maybe I need like a duet. Oh, well, maybe I need a trio, you know, so, and then I really had a thing. And so then we did that at school, and it was a fundraiser for their for the seniors LA showcase. At the same time, I then started writing a musical based on the sonnets by Shakespeare that later has been developed by the Stratford Festival up in Canada. And we did it NYMF actually back in 2009, and Jeremy Jordan was in that as well.
What was it called?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
What was it called?
It's called The Greenwood Tree.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I also had my work. I do a lot of my own songwriting, and I also set poetry and classic text. And I have a song recorded by Audra McDonald on her last studio album, a setting of a poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay called Tavern.
I know.
So that's our journey, and we've been writing together since 2005, 2006, and it's the only collaboration that I ever want to have.
I love your Follies poster. I used to have that in my living room when you first walked in. Where can we see Getting Closer? Does it already have dates and the place set?
Well, Getting Closer is a song from Radioactive the Musical, and
Oh,
Radioactive the Musical still awaits its world premiere production, but Getting Closer can be viewed all over the internet. It's on our YouTube channel, and we created a music video for the song in which Hannah Corneau performs it on film, and then the single is available, an audio recording, anywhere your music is absorbed. So Spotify, Apple Music, seek it out on the internet by searching for Getting Closer and Hannah Corneau, or Getting Closer, Will Reynolds and Eric Price, and it'll be waiting for you.
now you actually should be glad you're interviewing with me because I know exactly where this show should go.
Tell us,
ES
please.
because it's what they do. EST,
Sure.
Ensemble Studio Theater, because what they look for are shows that are science-based that they can do. So unless this is a huge musical, this EST is the perfect place for this show.
If they would agree, I would agree. Now, Radioactive does have a larger footprint than The Violet Hour, for example. Our musical, The Violet Hour, is a single set and 5 characters. Radioactive covers a lot of time, and a lot of people pass through Marie Curie's life on the way to discover radium. But certainly we're open to entertaining any possibility for the show, so long as it is built around a female-led creative team. It's really important to us that women's voices are part of this storytelling experience, because Marie Curie was so often disregarded because of her gender. So many people discounted the contribution that she was eventually able to make to the world simply because she was a woman. It's really important to us to surround ourselves with female storytellers as collaborators when we bring this show to the stage.
How many people are in the show?
These things can sort of be scaled and varied. I think it's written for about 10 to 15 people in the cast, but certainly there exists a large orchestration for many of the songs in the show. But everything in the theater can be scaled to the room that's available to you. And we've learned over the years how to get real creative in terms of taking the opportunity that's before us and making it work successfully with the thing that we've been writing.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time getting it to a smaller theater company because they only want 5.
That's right. We have ambitions for this show to reach a really wide audience, but we would not have entered A Life in the Theater if we weren't aware of the difficulty awaiting us, which is exactly the same thing Marie Curie went through when she entered a life in science. These doors aren't opened for you. You have to crash through them with the fervor of your commitment and the value of your work. And just like Marie, we do plan to do that.
Have you thought of maybe filming it first so that it's a film that is theater?
All things are possible. I don't know if you're aware of Paul Gordon's company, Streaming.
Exactly,
Musical.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I was a part of the very first inaugural production. I'm in his Emma, Frank Churchill in that with Kelly Barrett, and so I was, we filmed that in a week at the West Side Theater, and I'm really proud of how it came out, and it really is this sort of really magical hybrid between theater and film, and I mean, absolutely, and especially at this moment in time, as theaters is coming back to life and audiences are starting to really return. I think there is still very much an audience that would be there for an on-screen version of this, and but again, this is. I feel like when you actually sit down and are like, well, how do we do that? And like the budget for that might very well match the budget for, the show itself somewhere. So it's tricky. But absolutely, yes. I mean, we would.
No, I was thinking of Paul Gordon.
Yeah.
And I said that. And the reason why also is because as much as theater is coming back, if you look at the grosses, it's not. Sure. And when you think of a way to reach multiple people, I mean, you have people like Bonnie and Stewart who run a musical theater streaming service. So a lot of shows from London and a lot of shows are being done that way. And I think there really is a genre for this, actually more so at the moment, because New York's getting scary. But
Yeah, and that's also, that's part of our strategy with why we decided to do the Violet Hour the sort of backwards way, because we knew it might be an even longer road now to Broadway, or to any live theater for that matter. So to do the album first, get people excited about the music, get the art out there in some tangible way, much like, a film as well, same strategy for sure. Maybe a little less expensive, but not sure yet at this point after making the album. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be thrilling on the screen, and I should have a meeting with Paul about that. I think he'd love it.
Also, you have Be More Chill that had such a fan base that it
Sure.
got off Broadway, and it's such a fan base that it moved to Broadway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
and it really wasn't the off-Broadway production of Joe Iconis's and Joe Trask's Be More Chill, but the cast recording from that off-Broadway production that sat on Spotify, not doing a lot of activity for a little while because cast albums tend not to. And then gradually it began to show signs of a building fan base. And when that fan base crashed through the ceiling and was able to imply that there would be an audience waiting if the show was to move to Broadway, it was able to matriculate to Midtown. Sort of an inspiring story and a reminder that the audience is there. You just have to find a way to reach them and awaken the passion inside them, and they'll be waiting for you.
No, absolutely. I was there at the opening press thing for Be More Chill off Broadway, and that fan base was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. They knew all the lyric. They were just so excited. It was thrilling, actually, to watch. What other kinds of projects do you want to take on?
Well, as writers, we're constantly on the lookout for stories that inspire our collective voice. It's never my taste or Will's taste. It's this third taste that shows up when we combine our sensibilities. And when you write for the musical theater every day, if you're not asking yourself, would this be a good musical? Or would this be a good musical? You're not working hard enough. And we really go through that kind of questioning, because when you do make that decision and you do say, I'm going to write this show, I'm going to take this idea and make it real, it's sort of like a marriage commitment. There is a sense that you're going to wake up with this idea every day for the foreseeable future. And if you're not madly in love with that idea, if it doesn't compel you to jump out of bed and get to work every day, the idea isn't strong enough. And what's nice is that we've covered so much ground in Radioactive and in the Violet Hour. The only thing we can promise about the show that will happen after that is that we will try not to repeat ourselves. We'll try to uncover new ground and to tell a new story. And we look forward to both getting these two projects off the ground and then being able to share our current work with the world as well.
Will.
Yeah.
What kind of music would you compare your music to? Like,
oh gosh. Well, I will certainly speak to, the sounds that, have inspired me and driven me and that I am always attracted to. And, certainly the work of Stephen Sondheim is always there. And the influences that influenced him, are things that I made sure I listened to when I was getting in the weeds with his music. Way back when. And so I was listening to Ravel and I was listening to Stravinsky and I was listening to, but then I was also listening to all of the great, I literally, there was a probably 4 to 5 year window where I tasked myself to listen to every cast recording ever. And I would go to the Carnegie Mellon Library and I would just check them out and I would sit and listen and I would just be a sponge. And so I would say I have done pretty solid job of being that sponge. And I love the composers who can truly be chameleons and who have their sound, but they can also really play in the sandbox of other people's sounds. I mean, that's why I was an actor, and it's also why I am a composer. It's like that's what's interesting to me about what we do in the theater and how we can role play. And so, composers like Janine Tesori, who can really shape shift and change their sound are people who I really admire and strive to emulate for sure. Not so much in my sound to sound like them, but in who they are as composers, what they can do as composers, the breadth and depth of what they can conceive musically. So And certainly, we want people to remember our songs, to be humming them themselves. So we want it to be accessible, but also challenging, but also, I want it to be music that can only exist for this show. It's not music that could, well, I guess that could also be over there. It could be, it's like, no, this music is the music of Radioactive. This is the music of Marie Curie. No other rooms does it belong in. And so that's how I approach writing music for the theater. And so I would say it is absolutely accessible, but also absolutely specific to its circumstances and its characters.
If this question is for both of you, if I'm saying this wrong, and it's my favorite question, if you had to choose a song or a cycle of songs that describes who each of you is, what would that be?
Well, when you're a writer, no matter what it is you're writing, everything you create is in some way a reflection of everything that is going on inside you and everything that's ever gone on inside you. And if you're an honest artist, what shows up for your audience is a mirror of yourself. Even if you're telling stories that are about other people and other places, your understanding of the human experience will be reflected in your work. So it's the easiest answer to give that Radioactive and The Violet Hour are our stories. They reveal who we are. If an artist's work doesn't reveal who that artist is, I'm not sure that artist is digging deep enough. And one thing we do, and the reason why these shows take so long, is that we dig as deep as it goes. If we're not touching the ocean floor in the amount that we are challenging ourselves, the standards that we're asking of ourselves, then I feel like we're not doing our jobs. And so what ends up in front of the audience is the result of a series of choices that is meant to paint a portrait of ourselves. The collection of songs that reveals who I am is the collection of songs that is Radioactive, and the collection of songs that is The Violet Hour.
And I'd say for me, I have to say right now, and truly not only because it's why we're all here to gather today, but the song "Getting Closer" is 100,000% the journey of an artist and what it is to pursue the invisible thing you're trying to bring into the world, and that the work is never done, it is never complete, there was never enough time, and yet we cannot help but wake up every day and hope to get closer. And that is absolutely analogous to Marie's journey in her pursuit of radium, in the pursuit of Pierre Curie, in their romance that blossoms in the show, that she's sort of afraid that she's getting closer to. So I just love that double layering of that song. But we're also in the midst of fundraising for this Violet Hour album. And so truly every day we're like, well, we're getting closer, and also just getting closer to that release. There's just so much right now in our creative lives that getting closer just feels like it is absolutely our watch cry. And I may just get a tattooed on my wrist.
Is there a fundraising page where people can go to help you on your?
Sure.
What is it?
Absolutely. Eric?
I think the way to do it is to visit our website, which is reynoldsandprice.com. And if you make a backslash and write VH preview, is that the right one, Will?
No, it is /support, SUPPORT. Yeah, and that has a bunch of the tracks that are sort of in a state of readiness. They're not the finalized version because nothing's mastered yet, but they sound pretty much what they'll sound like on the album. There's also a music video that is unreleased of Jeremy Jordan singing the title song, which is thrilling. There's a sizzle reel there of sort of behind the scenes recording the vocals with the actors. And then absolutely an opportunity to make a contribution. Violet Hour is, we're only able to do this due to some seed money by the Ferguson Center, which is in Newport News, Virginia. They have a new musicals incubator called the New Musicals Lab, and we are sort of their inaugural project, and sort of they funded the sort of first half, and now we are helping to sort of fund the back half through contributions. So it would all be tax deductible. There's a way to make corporate matching as well. So please, sure, reynoldsandprice.com/support. We'd love it.
You've heard it here. New composers, Eric Price and Will Reynolds, and Radioactive, looking forward to all of this. Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.